Hello, I'm Jessica DeConing, and I am very pleased to be participating in the Hoboken Public Library's Positively Poetry reading series as part of National Poetry Month. I'd like to give a special thanks to Ethan Galvin for arranging this event. I'm a New Jersey poet, and I'm the author of two collections, the chapbook Repairs and the full-length collection by Terrapin Books entitled Cutting Room. I'm excited to be reading a bunch of my poems for you today. Several of them are from my collection Cutting Room. Some are newer works, some are older works, but all in some ways are intended to address the theme positive poetry. As we come out of the pandemic, or seem to be coming out of the pandemic, it seemed necessary to shift our focus in a more upbeat way. I want to begin with two poems that are poems of gratitude. The first is a poem for Representative Andy Kim, who is a congressman from the 3rd Congressional District of New Jersey. And you may have seen the videos of him after the terrible assault on the Capitol on January 6th. The photographs of that event were really the genesis of this poem. As I said, it's for Representative Andy Kim, and it's entitled, "We Are All Ordinary People." Son of Korean immigrants, the congressman photographed on his knees in blue business suit and blue COVID mask, the white cuffs of his shirt neatly visible as is his wedding ring, cleans the floor of the Capitol of the mess left by the marauders. His service made plain by see-through plastic trash bags. The rotunda strewn with the vast detritus of the mob, cellophane wrappers, phone chargers, water bottles. It is already after midnight. He will fill many bags before 3 a.m., before being called back to session. Humility, that's a word gone out of fashion. So is kindness. He picks up each piece of trash with his bare left hand. The next poem is not a poem I wrote for the workers during the pandemic, but it's certainly a poem in praise of workers. I actually wrote it when I was counsel for the Trenton Public Schools, and they had a commissary where the kitchen staff would prepare lunches and breakfasts, and it was my only opportunity really to get out of the building during the day. And this is a poem of thanks to them. It appears in my collection Cutting Room, and it's as appropriate now to thank all the people who've worked through this terrible time as it was then. Comfort food. This noon I give thanks for fried fish, for macaroni and cheese, for dill rolls, for sweet potato pie. For this carbohydrate festival, the hair-netted ladies cooked to get me through the afternoon and get me home safely. I give thanks for the cafeteria line, for steam rising off my plate, for the dishwasher smell, for the walk from my desk across the parking lot to the commissary and back to my desk. So thanks. For carrots and peas, for flaky crust rolled by hand, for small talk, for clean trays, for breaking a 20, for showing up. Stuck inside the last year, I've been paying a lot of attention, as I suppose we all have been, to the seasons. I'll start with winter. This is entitled Obad Winter. Get up! There's something you need to know. The wind rattles the patio door and hoots through that one frame with the loose seal. Outside, trains and trash trucks rumble and roll. The refrigerator, too, vibrates and hums this morning. These things are for me. The impossibly cold world wishes me good day. The clattering trash cans asked if I slept well. Get up, put on your coat, your woolen hat, your scarf and gloves, fasten your boots. Breakfast can wait. There's something I want to show you right now. As I said, I worked in Trenton for many years, back when I was practicing law. And this poem, also in Cutting Room, comes from that experience. What I liked most about, or one of the things I liked most, was working right on the Delaware River. And this is entitled The Delaware at Morrisville. The welders wove steel wires across the river. Cars thread from shore to shore. I stroll midway between clouds and water, beaming as if I've gotten a raise, as if I were in love. What else is there to say? That the bridge is painted green to look like copper, like the Statue of Liberty with its patina of rust, oxidizing in the afternoon sun. She does a slow burn, motionless to the unaided eye, and even a stop-action camera or a series of Muybridge photos, slowed down 1,000-fold, would not be slow enough to capture the disintegration of that metal arm now raised high above the river. My whole life will take less time than that. For now I am content. The bridge looks like lace, the sky piercing blue, water glints its sequined tears. Just this sunny day, a walk across the bridge and back again. So we move from winter into spring, and this is crocuses. Sorry, this is not the first time snow fell almost each March day. Sorry, a few broken shingles, a few loose gutters means a worse year than some. It may take years to rebuild the boardwalk, beachfront, fish pier, and the low retaining wall around the lake. Splintered beams and broken concrete benches are stacked like prosthetic legs. But the crocuses do not care. They've been hiding underground, alabaster gold and lilac camouflaged by dirt. Today they sunbathe as you wrap your scarf more tightly, pull up your coat collar. Look, the swan boats, freshly painted, have returned to Wesley Lake. Winter-weary lovers paddle across and back. A little chill excites. Across each front yard, violet confetti. Look at me, crocuses shout, among bare branches and gray grasses. Look at me, I'm back. That poem set on Wesley Lake in between Asbury Park and Ocean Grove. The next spring poem, that was crocuses, now we're moving into iris, is set at the Presby Memorial Iris Gardens in Montclair, and it's entitled The Presby Memorial Iris Gardens. Spring again, and the purple sentries take up their posts across the field and all along the pathways. Uniforms, a cloud parade of colors, as if they don't take themselves seriously. Perhaps they've spent the night out drinking. They cannot stand up straight without support. Another ice-robed winter. Snowdrifts higher than car roofs and hedges, but none of my friends died this year, despite 2 cancer scares, 1 heart attack, and just 2 hours from here, a baby, blue-eyed, pink-cheeked. She's named after a flower, too small to sit or crawl. When she learns to speak, she'll call me Grandma. And this one's called The Jogger, the next poem. I like to work in form from time to time. I think it helps make the work a little more interesting, or it does for me. The Jogger. He runs 5 miles every morning. The wind tingles. The day enters him. He attends to his feet moving. He runs 5 miles. Every morning before breakfast, before the choking workday, the road is his hymn. He runs 5 miles every morning. The wind tingles. The day enters him. 2 miles done and time stops. He knows the echo of the road, feels his burning shin as his foot drops. 2 miles done and time stops. He watches clouds flirt with treetops and puzzles out their secret code. 2 miles running and time stops. He knows the echo of the road. The next poem is a pandemic poem. We're still in spring. I wrote it last spring towards the beginning of the pandemic, almost just about a year ago, thinking about another New Jersey poet, William Carlos Williams, and this is entitled Spring and the Virus and All. Suddenly the sun strikes the sexy magenta lips of the azaleas that have come into full bloom, and the daffodils lift their open mouths to drink in warmth. Peony stems push through the almost naked ground. I stand at the window near the lake. No one walks around. 2 azalea bushes, long dug up and gone, guarded the front door of the house where I grew up. Their blossoms were the color of salmon flesh, but I thought them terribly ordinary. Just 4 days ago, I visited my mother thinking, who knows when I'll be back again. She said with impatience, "You know this is God's work." Her lucidity from within the clouds of dementia startled me, but I'm not sure what she meant. Of course my mind turns to you, Dr. Williams, driving your daily rounds when doctors made house calls, writing poems on prescription pads. Tuberculosis still kills people. Other things do too, new things. On the lake outside my window, that one ordinary blue heron dives for fish while the rhododendron buds strain to open. One of the good things, if that's a way to put it, about the pandemic was the opportunity to focus on the little pleasures of life and to notice and to have the time to notice much more. Spring for me is also Passover. I just celebrated Passover, the Seders this weekend. They were more participatory than last year with family. But I wrote this last year after Seder, after much apprehension. when things turned out not so bad. Concerning the Exodus. It wasn't awful, a Seder on the screen, me at one table, the others elsewhere. Like always, we took turns reading, almost felt as if we were together. We have been telling this story of plagues my whole life, all of our lives, and before that, yet reading the words this year surprised me. I came to a new understanding. Passover is not about liberation, salvation, or God. Passover concerns patience. Life changes. Pandemics end. Everything ends. I had not paid close enough attention to the actual words of the Haggadah. 4 glasses of wine, a meal of many courses, singing, laughter, and loud disagreements distracted me. But look, at the last line of the very last page, the text reads, next year in Jerusalem, learn to wait. And I'm moving on to summer. This poem is called Wednesday Morning Before the Crowds, and it's from this anthology entitled To the Beach. Wednesday morning before the crowds. Don't answer your phone at the beach. Maybe don't bring it with you. It's only the past trying to catch up, choosing this particular moment to distract you, to call you from the small eddies that form around the heels of your feet and the base of your chair each time the waves approach. Soon you will need to back up, or your towels and sandwiches will get soaked. Soon the memory of this day will scatter like the shards of mussel shells gulls dropped to break open. But you'll keep the feeling of calm each time you turn the page of your book or lift your head to watch the water breathe in and out. Don't answer. Let the calm accrue and shine like layers of varnish. A lot of my work focuses on biblical expressions or biblical themes or ideas pulled from the Bible and or from science. So this one takes its title from the Adam and Eve story, Forbidden Fruit. From its mottled skin, I knew the avocado was almost gone, but halved it anyway, lifted the already loose seed, and spooned out pitted flesh to spread on toast, eating it a penance for not eating sooner, for buying more than needed, for not shopping frequently enough, for not planning meals in advance, for my father's childhood of inadequacy. I refused to cook only for me. I refused to let a fruit the color of 1960s kitchen appliances prevail. I know tricks with lemon and salt, with grated cheese and minced garlic. I know what to do with leftovers. During the pandemic, I found myself attending a lot of Zoom readings and participating in a number of different Zoom workshops. And this next poem comes out of one of those Zoom meditation / writing workshops. It's called The Blessings. The Blessings. It begins when I misread the title of the exercise as Morning Blessings with Lesser Names, rather than with lesser known names for God. The service leader emphasizes these obscure titles, Rock of Ages, Fountain of Living Waters, but I am lost in lesser names, Paper and Scissors, Low Flow Shutoff Valve. Everything stands in for something else. I get distracted from the meditation and consider Einstein, who proposed that God does not play dice. I once believed that, but now accept the likelihood everything is chance. Each night before bed, I try to remember to write 3 good things, however minor, about my day, my shield against depression. Some call that gratitude. I call it light. And here's another Bible story, or from another Bible story, this one from the Tower of Babel. And the title of the poem is After Babel. There is a common language I cannot master. Though it was my first, English came second. I do not know the nouns of this language or its syntax. I cannot conjugate its verbs. But rivers speak it, as do bones and bottles left for recycling, the geese in the lake, screen doors, peach trees, ambulances, trolley cars, and kettles. It is there in the static of stars. But I remain dumb. If I could speak this tongue, if I had its vocabulary, if I knew its tune, I could tell you, and you would understand. And this one goes back to the creation story. I'm still kind of playing around in Genesis. I don't know if I will ever get past that. The poem is entitled Crazy Eights, and it has an epigraph. And he ceased on the 7th day from all the work that he had done. Genesis chapter 2, verse 2. Crazy Eights. And on the 8th day, no talk about the 8th day, God finished in 7, threw down the cards, and left in the way that God exits the story, only to enter again, wreak some havoc, and flee. By the time we reach chapter 8, God's cleaning up after his big flood and about to start over. In another version, electrons come into being 8 seconds after the Big Bang. For millennia, the universe remains too hot for light to shine. Separating light from darkness is a parlor trick of the big magician. Radio telescopes go back, and then at the instant of creation, nothing. Before the big whatever, time did not exist, place did not exist. The rubber band of curved space and multiple dimensions snaps when I try to stretch it to fit around my head. God took a day off, things got complicated. God sent lice, locusts, frogs, leveled the cities of the plain. Light takes so long to travel. People who live at the other end of the Milky Way can only see our past. Ask the magic 8-ball. Will the universe stop expanding? Will the sun explode? If I could shuffle time, I'd fold my cards, spend an afternoon with Grandma, take a nap on her soft mattress. Once upon a time, it was the safest place in all the universe. I'm going to read 2 more poems. This one, also from Cutting Room, is entitled Jerusalem. Jerusalem. Not the vestiges of wall, pressed with paper prayers, not the temple, the dome, the rock, not the line for women, the line for men, not headscarves, not orange groves, not the Arab quarter, the Jewish quarter, the 12 stations of the cross. Not the cross, nor wood, nor nails, not the monastery in the valley across from the Knesset, not Yad Vashem, nor the 6 million, not Ishmael, not Isaac, not olive trees, not land, but a quiet booth at a diner in Maplewood, New Jersey, a bowl of soup, a buttered roll, a cup of tea. And I'm going to end with this last poem. Before I do that, I want to once again thank the Hoboken Public Library very much for sponsoring this reading for National Poetry Month. It has been my thrill and delight to participate. I'd like to thank Ethan Galvin again. I'd like to thank the other poets participating in this series. And I look forward to meeting all of you in public at some time soon. The last poem's entitled Light. Sprinkled like salt across the universe, the stars shiver between cold and dark. There is a freezing so profound that even light slows down, but never stops its silent trek, and will not leave us, though galaxies tear apart. Taste light as it slips beyond the dark. Thank you very, very much.